welcome to Kaitaku. If you are returning, welcome back. I am glad to see you back, and if you're new here, I hope you stick around for more videos. Today, I am going to talk about the books that I read in the month of July. I read about 30 books in the month of July, though most of them, I think all of them except for 3 were manga. So for me, a volume of manga, I can read 2, 3 in a night, depending on what time I get started. So it's actually not that weird for me to read a lot of manga in any given month, depending on how busy I am at work. So let's take a look at what I read this month. So one of the series that I read this month is Model. So Model is actually a Korean manhwa. It is composed of 7 volumes, and I talk a little bit more about Model in my Koreadathon blog. That is why I read Model, was for Koreadathon this month, and Model was a huge disappointment for me. I think overall I would rank the series a 2.5 out of 5 stars. It just was not my favorite. Still deciding what I'm going to do with my volumes of it, but I did finish all 7 during Koreadathon, so I was very proud of myself for doing that. In addition to Model, during Koreadathon, I also read Wicked Fox, and you can see a more in-depth my opinion of that in my Koreadathon blog or vlog. I absolutely love this book, absolutely adored it. It makes me so happy. It's a duology, so the second book is actually coming out in August, right before my birthday. So I am already pre-ordered for that so that I can get myself a little birthday present. And the last book that I read for Koreadathon was The Silence of Bones. And so again, if you go watch my Koreadathon blog, I get more in depth on how I felt about this book. Highly recommend. 3.5 out of 5 stars. It got a little slow for me, so that's why I wasn't completely 4, but I would highly recommend this book, and I'm pretty sure this was the author's debut novel, and it is freaking awesome for a debut novel. I usually do not like debut novels. They're usually just, you can tell that it's a debut novel and it's a starting out novel. This is gold, and I highly recommend it if you're interested in reading a book from a Korean author that is set in the Joseon era. And so it's historical fiction, it's a murder mystery, and it is awesome. So in addition to reading those books for Koreadathon, I also read Finder Volume 5. So Finder is a boys love series. It follows our crime boss Asami here and our reporter Akihito. And Akihito has gotten mixed up with Asami because he was taking pictures of him to report to a newspaper. And so Volume 5, Akihito had been kidnapped, and so Volume 5 is Asami trying to get him back, and they're finally back together. I have some issues with this series because there's an utter lack of consent constantly, except for between our 2 main hero characters, though it started out with non-consensual relationship there that turned into a consensual one. I'm still deciding on whether or not I like this series. I do have the rest of what is out. I am current on this series, so I will be reading more volumes, and we'll see if maybe I start to like it now that they're back together and I can see this transition into them falling in love. Next, I have Perfect World. This is actually one that I read at the end of the month, so just recently finished reading this one. And Tsugumi is Tsugumi. She has just re-met Isuki, who is her high school crush. And she finds out that after high school, he got into an accident and now he is in a wheelchair. And so the 2 of them are working together, and you can see her falling back in love with him and trying to see, if she would be able to handle his disability. And so I am very excited that Kodansha has put this in print. They like to put a lot of their kind of josei and shoujo manga in digital as opposed to print. And I prefer, as you can see, to collect the print versions. So I believe there's 2 volumes out and the 3rd volume is on the way. So I will definitely be continuing to collect this one. Another series that I read the next one of was Don't Be Cruel. Don't Be Cruel is the story of Maya and Nemu, and they start out dating in high school. It's actually a story where Maya blackmails Nemu, and from there their relationship starts. And they are now in college and have jobs, and we've gotten a chance to see them grow from high school and studying for college exams and now being in college and navigating having jobs. And so they are probably one of my favorite couples of all time right now. Maya is definitely boyfriend goals in a lot of ways. And the way he cares about Nemu is just incredibly heartrending. And I'm excited to see more from this couple. One series that I read, and this is actually a prequel, this is Jealousy Volume 1, and it is a prequel, I believe, but I think I need to read the original series. I liked this one okay, but it was extremely confusing. I felt like there was a lot of context that I was missing, and it wasn't until after I got it and started reading that I figured out that it was the prequel to Fourth Generation. I'm not quite sure the title. I'll probably put it somewhere on the screen here. But I probably need to read that to understand what's going on in this one. And that one's actually a one-shot, and this is a series. So I'm interested to see how this goes. I will keep reading. Hopefully, once I get some context, it'll make a little bit more sense to me. Another book that I read was Not Your Idol. Not Your Idol is actually a story of Karen, who was, or I guess Nina, she's changed her name now, who was in an idol group, and she was attacked at one of their idol events with their fans. And so after that, she cuts off her hair and she disappears to try and have a normal life. And so this is her, going back to high school, trying to be a normal girl. She dresses like a boy so that she doesn't look like a girl, and so that people won't treat her like a girl, because that's what she feels like got her attacked in the first place. This first volume was good, but it kind of left me wanting a little bit more. And so I'm excited for the second volume, and I'm definitely going to keep up with this one, especially now that we are trying to see how she's adapting to this new life and whether or not she's going to be able to keep this new life. So this is definitely one that you will see more of as the series continues and they release more volumes. Once I read an entire series for Thirsty Thursday, which is a monthly book club that Shay Geeks Out, Dynamic Dylan, Mama Loves Mangas, and Pages and Panels hosts every month. It's the last Thursday of every month, and it's kind of, your more risque manga that they read. And this month they read Midnight Secretary. So Midnight Secretary is 7 volumes long, and I finished all 7 volumes this month in time for Thirsty Thursday, and I enjoyed it for the most part. There were several issues that I had with the main character. There were several issues that I had with this random bit of thing that they threw in at the end, and I don't want any spoilers. I don't want to spoil it for you just in case you want to read it. But it's a vampire book, and so our main character Kohei here is a vampire, and she is his secretary, and she figures out while working as his secretary that he is a vampire. And so in addition to helping with the day-to-day things that a secretary would do, she also coordinates his schedule to make sure that he eats his meals, which are, basically having meetups with other women. And then they fall in love, of course, because it's a love story. But one of the things is when the vampires are taking blood from their victims, their blood tastes better the more sexually aroused that they are. So that leads to a lot of smut, because the better the sex, the better the blood. So it was a very interesting book, and I would recommend it if you are interested in something a little smutty, but you're not 100%, caring about the plot. There's also some world building with the vampires and all of that, but these are not your Anne Rice vampires. So take that with a grain of salt, and if you're interested, I say give it a look. I also finished Everyone's Getting Married. So I finished volumes 5 through 9. I previously had read volumes 1 through 4, but 5 through 9 hadn't come in yet, so I didn't get a chance to read those. So once they came in, I immediately finished the series. I loved this series. It's such a good josei story. It is dealing with adults. They're all in their late 20s and they're working. And it deals with the relationship dynamics because you've got our main female character who wants to get married. She wants to be a housewife. And then we've got our main male character who says he would rather die than get married. And so it's interesting to see their dynamic, to see how the people change and how their views towards relationships as well as marriage changes as the volumes go on all the way to volume 9. It is finished, it is complete, and I would highly recommend picking it up. The ending is a little bit rushed. I would have liked for the mangaka to give me a 10th volume, but I am still putting it on my list of I thoroughly enjoyed it. I gave it a 4 out of 5 all around. The last novel or actual, book that I read was The Boyfriend Project by Farah Roshan. And this, as you can see, I annotated it, so I had some feelings on this one. I rarely ever annotate my books, just because I don't like writing in them. And so for me, actually annotation involves putting in a sticky note with kind of what my feelings are, just because I do not like writing in my books. This was an interesting book. So the premise is, and I'll just read the back because that's easier, is Samaya Brooks never thought she would be that girl, but a live tweet of a horrific date just revealed the painful truth. She's been catfished by a 3-timing jerk of a boyfriend. So that's the premise. Samaya, along with his 2 other girlfriends, London and Taylor, have gone viral online. Now the 3 besties are making a pact to spend the next 6 months investing in themselves, no men and no dating. For once, Samaya is putting herself first, and that includes developing the app she always dreamed of creating, which is the exact moment she meets the deliciously sexy Daniel Collins at work. What are the chances? But is Daniel really boyfriend material, or is he maybe just a little too good to be true? So this was an interesting book. I enjoyed it. I do believe this is book 1 in a series. It just came out this year. It's contemporary fiction. And so I'm going to continue because I think now that we've gotten Samaya's story, we'll get London and Taylor's story. And London's story is the one that I'm really interested in. London is a doctor. She's a pediatric surgeon. She's got bad bitch vibes. So I am very excited to see what happens to her during this boyfriend pact. But Samaya's story was actually pretty interesting, and her and Daniel. And I enjoyed it overall. There were several things that it's not that I didn't like them, they just didn't necessarily make sense to me, especially like the whole boyfriend thing. I mean, the entire premise is her boyfriend's cheating on her, but then you find out that they actually have only gone on like 3 or 4 dates. And so I'm like, that's not your boyfriend? Are y'all even exclusive? It left me with questions. However, I do like the character progression, especially in Samaya. From the beginning to end, and I did feel that the end was a little rushed between her and Daniel, but overall it was a good book and I would definitely recommend it. And I'm gonna keep a lookout because Goodreads says that it's the Boyfriend Project #1, so that leads me to believe there will be more. And coming up on the end here, I read Yachirin Bitch Club volumes 1 and 2. This is a very interesting series. I am ordered number 3, so I'm ready for that to come in. But this is a boys' love series. They are in an all-boys school, and you've got the photography club, which is basically a club that provides sexual services to the rest of the students, and hijinks ensue. So if you are a fan of, I guess, a more lewd boys love type story, and there's definitely a lot of comedy, pick this one up. I also read Night S by Ko Yoneda, which is a collection of one-shots, and I enjoyed this one. It was a little bit darker than my normal Boys Love stories, which I appreciated, and actually led me to picking up more of her works. And so I've actually picked up 4 more books by Yonita, and so I'm excited to read those. And last but not least, I read Incurable Case of Love, volumes 1, 2, and 3. 2 and 3 are on the shelves somewhere, but I read volumes 1, 2, and 3, and this is a story about our main female character here. She actually meets Dr. Tindo earlier, where he helps her save a woman's life. And that meeting actually makes her want to become a nurse. And so she becomes a nurse, and the only reason she became a nurse is for them to be together. And she gets to his hospital and figures out that he is the Dark Prince. He is not the knight in shining armor that she thought he was. And so it's kind of seeing their relationship grow and her trying to pursue him, but also, you know, figuring out finally that maybe being a nurse is actually something that she wants to do outside of finding him in this relationship with him. And so this was a very cute. I have the 4th volume on the way, and I'm definitely going to keep collecting this one as it comes out, because I'm interested to see, you know, as we're starting to see them kind of fall in love a little bit, how this is going to play out. Well, those were all the books that I read this month. It was a very busy month, both as far as my reading and work goes. So I'm pretty surprised I got that many finished, but I'm also extremely tired. So I'm guessing there was a lack of sleep this month. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like, a comment, let me know if you like these monthly wrap-up videos, or if that's something that you're interested in, please let me know. And also let me know, what have you been reading? I would love to know what you all have been reading, any suggestions you may have of books that you think that I should read, or manga that you think that I should get, and I will see you all next time. Bye!